Stitch Cuties, I'm Brittany with Stitches of Love Quilting, and in this video tutorial, I'm going to give you some tips on building your applique units for this adorable scarecrow that goes on your quilts on the floor rug. So what we're going to do when you go through the pattern, you're going to cut the super cute fabric that comes in your kit. You have the front and back of your rug, and then you're going to cut your 2 binding strips and have that ready to go. I'm going to set that aside. Now what we're going to do is identify all of our applique pieces and number them. So you get a bag of all of your canvas applique pieces are pre-fused with Sulky Perfect applique, and then they're completely cut out for you. So what we're going to do is organize all of these pieces, and to do that I'm going to have my applique placement guide ready to go so I can number my pieces as I identify them. So I will say, out of all the rugs, this one has the most pieces. So take your time in identifying your pieces and getting them ready, okay? So we'll start with some low-hanging fruit, some ones that are easy to identify. This is number 37. I'm just gonna grab pieces and label them. Now, I like to use a Sharpie to write on the back with. When you get to your pieces that are cut, where you have to do a little bitty cutout, I am going to save that for last. So now we have our cute little flower at the top. I'm just gonna spin it until it fits perfectly. So you can see that I have it in place. I'm gonna take it and flip it immediately over, and I'm gonna draw an up arrow so that I don't have to turn that and spin it again when I'm putting it on my background fabric. So that's number 38. Let's see. What else do we have here that's ready to go? So we have a blue piece. This is gonna be one of the pieces of our overall. So this one fits here. So that means it's number 11. Then the other piece of our overall fits right there. This is number 13. And what we're gonna do is number all of these, and then we'll come back and build our applique unit. So this is the base of his overalls, number 10. And look at this super cute piece right here. The fun little green dots. This is number 36, the top of the hat. And again, you're just gonna find your pieces in your kit. You don't have to number them in any certain order. I mean, write the right number on them. But it doesn't matter in this step what order you do it in. So this is his shirt. This is number 9. And then these are gonna be his cuffs, some pieces of his other stuff. I'm getting to the pieces that are already cut out all the way so that I don't have to do any cutting just yet. And when I say cutting, you're just gonna do a little bit of trimming. You're just snipping your pieces free. So on this, you have 2 pieces that look exactly alike, except one is this like cocoa color and the other is a solid white. This is so we can double line the face so that the background fabric doesn't show through. So if you look, he's on this really cool brown print. If we didn't double line that one piece, he might have a little bit of a pattern on his face. So that's why we double lined it. So when we go to put this down and build our unit, we'll put this piece down first. It's number 24. And then we'll put the real number 24 on after that. Alrighty. So now this big green dotted piece is the part of his bandana, so number 23. All right, these 2 checker pieces, easy to identify because they are arms, just like so. So this one is number 2, and this one is number 6. When I have numbers like a 6 or a 9, I always put a line underneath. Just a little silly trick, but it's useful, I promise. So now we're down to the pieces that we have to snip free. Easy peasy. So I'm gonna take my Karen K Buckley and I'm just gonna snip my pieces free. So just a little snip here, a little snip here, and a little snip there. It's good to have a little trash can beside you. Now these are all of the pieces of our straw. So as I snip them free, I'll put them in place. Oh, I'm sorry, it could also be on his head. Doop, yep, that's number 34. These two little circles are his overall circles. So they go down here. There we go. I'll number all these in just a second. This is, I should put in place as well. His green, the green, boop, and the green. And I'll number them all at once in just a second. So another piece right here. And look at this big piece. There we go. It's kind of fun. It's like, remember when you were a kid and you have to like, you have that toy where you like put a circle in a square, square in a circle. You're like learning your shapes. This is kind of like a little puzzle for our brain as we get older. There we go. Actually, if you have kids or grandkids, they'd probably be a really good help on this step. Okay, and then this piece goes here. So now I'm gonna do some numbering. So I have my circle down here, number 14. These are perfect circles, by the way. So it doesn't matter which is which. Then for these pieces, we have number 41. We have number 42. And then on 43, this isn't a perfect square or rectangle. So I'm gonna do just like I did with the orange flower. I'm gonna put this in place and then I'm gonna immediately flip it over and give myself an up arrow. And I do that when it's pieces that you just wanna not have to think on again, right? So I'll set those aside as a little unit. And now for our straw, we have number 40, number 33, and number 34, number 32, number 31, and number 30. So I'm just helping you number on all of these because it's a little bit more involved than, say, some of the other rugs that we've had in the club. So you're gonna build quite a few applique units this month. So now I've grabbed the black piece, and this is gonna be eyes and nose and mouth. There we go. I think this is his nose. Yep. Or not a mouth, I said mouth. This isn't a mouth. This is just eyes and a nose. There we go. Oh my gosh, he's gonna be so cute, y'all. Okay, so this is number 27. I'm gonna do the same thing with my arrow on this one. I just think it's easier because the pieces all kind of look alike. Number 26. Alrighty, so let's put these in a little pile to the side. And now what are we gonna snip next? Let's do some navy. So these are his little cuffs. And each cuff is actually 2 pieces to give that layered look. There we go. And the other. Don't you love that everything's cut out? Just doing a little snip and your little piece is free. So let's see which cuff is which. I think this must be this guy. Yep. And so this must be the bottom. Yep. So this is 7B and 7A. So let's turn this one the right way. Oop, this way. So this is 3B. And again, I'm doing my arrow up on this piece because once you put it in place, you want to just know which way's up. So let's put these together off to the side. Now let's do some brown. These are the little ends of his, I guess, his wooden arms. So cute. I love scarecrows. They're really adorable. I'd really love to have a big scarecrow in my yard this year. I think that would be fun. Okay, so now this one is number 1. So that would mean this is number 5, but I'm gonna hold it up just in case. Yep. Number 5. And now these little blush colors, those are his cheeks. So cute. Oh, I think he's this one. Come over here a little piece. Yep. And then this one will go right over here. So really, we're just taking a few minutes to organize, and I promise it's gonna make your life so much easier when you're dealing with this many pieces. Well, I always number my pieces, but it's especially helpful when you do have a ton of pieces. So now on the red, these are all exactly the same. Oh, that one looks a little smaller. So these two are the same, and this one is smaller. So the two that are the same, these are the buttons down here at the end of his shirt. And then we have this one is the center of the flower. Let me see if they really are different sizes. I should know this. I digitized it. No, they're all exactly the same. It's an optical illusion. Okay, well that sure makes our life easy that they're all the same. So one is gonna be numbered 39 for the center of our flower. Glad I checked that so I could tell you. I digitized these so far in advance of when we actually ship it and when I film the tutorial. So, you know, nice to check and make sure that I'm telling you all the right thing, right? And then number 39. And now we have all these green pieces. This is for his scarf. I say that in a funny voice because when it comes, we've done many scarecrows in the history of our company, and lasering all these is quite a feat. So I always giggle. Mom and I I'm always like, do you have to have that many pieces of straw? Like, come on. And so as I trim them out, I'm just laying them down so I don't have to think again. There we go. And this one. Yep. And now we have this elongated one. That should be easy to figure out which is which. Yep. And then this little guy and this little guy. These are easy to identify because they have their funny little nooks cut out for ease of over and underlapping. Alrighty, there we go. So let's number these last few pieces. So we have 22, 21, 20, 19, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So I'm gonna pick them up in order. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. So now all of our pieces are numbered. Now let's look at our pattern and start organizing our units. Do we have to draw any outlines? Yes, we do. On some of the pieces, we're gonna draw the accent lines. So we're gonna draw, for example, the mouth in place so that we know where that's gonna go. So first up, we are going to gather pieces 1 through 4. So, 1 through 4. This is 1 through 4. I need a 2. There we go. So our pieces are the brown wood. Then we have number 2 is our big checkered arm, 3A and 3B. And then number 4 is our button. So that's one unit we're gonna build. I'm gonna organize all my pieces and then we'll go back and build them, okay? Next up is going to be 5 through 8. So that is our right arm. So we have 5 is the wood, 6 is the checkered arm, 7, A and B, and then 8. So this is unit 2. Now we're gonna do, unit 3 is 9 through 23. That's a doozy. Okay, I'm gonna put my pattern to the side. So let's look at our pattern and see what we're looking at, 9 through 23. So we have, basically we're building this little chunk down here. So 9 we know is our checker. And then whereas 10 is the base of his overalls. So we have checkerboard, base of overalls. Then 11 and 12. So that is the left side of the overalls and the little button. And then 13, 14, same thing, but for the right. So let me show you number 13, number 14. Now we have 15 through 22 are all of these green pieces that we just picked up. So I already have them in numerical order through 22. And then last but not least, number 23 is this big green piece. So number 23. So this whole chunk right here is one unit we're gonna build together. So let's set that aside. Now we are going to, and a line that we're gonna draw when we make our unit is gonna be on pieces 12 and 14. You can see we're gonna mark the little X's because we'll sew cute little accent lines there. Now we're gonna build 24 through 40. So let's take a look at where that is. 24 is the base of our face, and then all of the hat and down into all of his little straw. So 24, remember, there are two pieces. We're gonna put down the white and then this one on top. So we have number 24, 25, 26, 27 are our three eyes, which we had grouped together. 28 and 29 are the two cheeks. And now we have 30, 31, 32. So let me go over here and grab these pieces. We have 30, 31, 32, then 33, 34. All right, so I had them in a pile already. Look at that. 35 is the top of the hat. Let me grab these three big pieces. So 35 is the top of our hat. 36 would be the cute green. 37 is the brim of the hat. And then 38, 39. That is our orange flower is 38. Remember, we gave ourselves that arrow. And let me grab number 39 is our red. And then number 40 is this last piece of his hair. So there we go. We've got these in a big old pile to build into a unit. And then last but not least, our last unit we're gonna build, unit 5, is our little bow right here. So 41, 42, and 43. Woo-wee, y'all. So everything's organized. Let's start building our little units. So what I have in front of me, I have my light pad, my glass mat. I'm gonna turn my light pad on. And then what I'm gonna do, put this down, and I'm gonna put my fusing mat on top. So let's just plunk that down. There we go, make sure y'all can see. And now I'm gonna grab my unit 1. And make sure your iron is on. My iron needs to heat up, there we go. Close my Sharpie, put that away. Always make sure your workspace is good and clean. It makes it much easier to work with everything. And again, have a trash can ready because you're gonna peel all the paper backing off of all of these. So first up, number 1. There we go. So your fusing mat, you know, is a little tacky, right? So your pieces stay in place before you iron them, which is helpful. So number 1. And then number 2 is our big arm. Is this not the cutest fabric? I would wear this shirt. I'd wear his outfit. I'd wear the overalls too. All right, so number 2 in place. And now we have 3A and 3B. So 3A is the little piece at the bottom. We'll put that down first. There we go. And 3B, remember I drew an arrow so I don't have to think again about the direction it goes. And I do that on some pieces just to make my life easier. You can do it on all the pieces if you want, or none. And then we have the button, which goes just a little bit above this little intersection right there. So now I'm gonna take my iron and I'm gonna tap where this overlaps. I don't need to iron down here because we're not ironing it to anything. I'm just trying to iron it to itself, where they overlap. Cool beans. And you just wanna let it cool for a second and then gently lift it, and look at that. We have a unit. So this is unit 1. Let me set it aside. Now let's reposition because we're gonna do unit 2, which is his right arm. So there we go. And do I need to draw lines for the little, let's take a look. Yeah, see there's little X's stitched and then his little thing. So actually, let me bring that unit back. I don't want to jump ahead on instructions and tell you not to do something when you need to do something. So with this little guy, before we build this unit, come back over here. On top of our light pad, we need to put an X in the center right here. And I'm going to use a chalk pencil because if I use a friction pin, I am going to iron it away when I iron my pieces together. So there we go. I drew, can you see that in the camera? Let me hold it up more for you. I drew my X. You see? Perfect. So now we're gonna do this side. Look, my piece stuck. And it's the exact same thing. So we're gonna start with number 5, which is the wood of his arm. Then number 6 is his whole big checkerboard sleeve. There we go. Get that right in place. Now we do 7A, which is the bottom of his cuff. Kind of a fancy little guy, right? It's like a party shirt. You know when you have the cuffs and you turn them up, there's a different fabric inside? In our family, we call those party shirts. So the Scarecrow has a party shirt on. He's a good time. There we go. And then again, our little button, number 8. Y'all, Buttons is in here with me when I say that. She looks at me like, what? What are you talking about? I'm right here. Because her name is Buttons. And so we're just going to hold this there for a second. And then let it cool for a second. We're going to mark our X right in the center. There we go. Now, unit 2 is completely done. Set that aside. All right, and now we have a doozy. We have a bunch of pieces we're gonna work with. So we're building this center. So we're gonna start with 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So basically we're gonna build the shirt and overalls first. I always kind of like to think about what I'm putting where. Because I will say once you start putting this on, the canvas does get a bit harder to see through than if we were like working with like a cotton fabric, right? So, whoop, the pieces are sticking to me. I'm static. Number 10, and this line right here across the bottom, this is your base, which is gonna be your first cut when you go to trim this after you've stitched everything and quilted it. So fun fact for you. Now we're gonna build the left side of his overalls. So he's, oop, you know what? I wiggled that, so I'm gonna give it a little tap. There we go. And you can iron these as frequently as you need to. I try to like get several pieces on before I iron just to like, I don't know, be efficient or something. It's like a weird thought that I have, but you can iron on every piece. Then our button. So give that a tap where it's overlapping. Now we'll go over here and build the right side. There we go. And you'll see that this forms like a nice line. I try when I digitize it to give you like lines when you're putting the pieces together to follow so you know you have it in place even if you can't see your placement guide. So I try to be real helpful in thinking about that when I digitize it for you. And again, all this super cute art in this club is from Julie. Julie Love, my mom. Before I forget, I'm gonna put my X's. There we go. And again, I'm using a Soline chalk pencil. Okay, so now we have a bunch of the, hay to put in place. I'm gonna do some peeking. So I know 15 is front and center, okay? So let's put that piece in first. And again, when I was just talking about, I try to give you guidelines on the pieces. You're gonna really love me right now, because look, even without your placement guide, that lines up perfectly at this little niche. You're welcome. And then number 16, same thing, it's gonna line up on the side. We know it's gonna go a little bit over. And then number 17 is gonna line up and number 18 is gonna line up. So let's start putting those in place. So number 16. And then number 17. Where does he line up? I got a peek. Yeah, up here. So he's like that at that little V. I think I need to pull this guy up a little, because he lines up on a straight line. So see, I kind of position him, and then I'm gonna give him a little press. And then we know number 18 is right up here. And it lines up on the side, and we can also see where it juts out right here. So perfectly at the edge of your overalls. There we go. So now let's take a look. We're gonna start peeking over here now. So number 19 is down here, then 20, 21, 22. So let's start with 19. It's kind of there's sort of a little curve right here. Not really, but kind of. And then number 20. Let's get right there. And then these don't overlap right here, so that's a good guide for you. And then 21 and 22 do overlap. So you know you're gonna be in the right place because you're kind of covering the weird little cutouts, right? See under, if we go too far, you're not covering. There you go. And then number 22. Let's iron this down before I pick it up. There we go. And this guy, he doesn't go all the way to the edge of this blue overall, right? Because he's gonna tuck under this. So he is a little exception to the rule. He's not, this one piece isn't gonna go all the way to the edge out of all of them. Just so you know, you're in the right spot, don't worry. And now the last piece of this unit, number 23. How cute is he, you guys? And then before you iron, we're gonna check and make sure, whoop, there we go, that he is overlapping all the way around all of the little green straw. I guess really this isn't straw, you guys. This is the fringe of his little bandana. The straw is up there. So look at me. What am I even talking about? There we go. And we're gonna iron that. So this whole unit is together. And let me just tell you, doing it like this instead of trying to get all those pieces in place on your actual fabric, lifesaver. So now we're just gonna carefully lift this up. Unit 3, adorable. Okay, so now, all right, you guys, another doozy. We're doing his face. So we're gonna bring this little guy down, and then I'm gonna move my fusing mat up. There we go. So let's think about the order. So first up is his face that we know is double lined. Then we have his eyes and nose and cheeks. So let's start there. First up, the white piece of number 24. Remember, we're double lining. And then you're just gonna line up all those little cut-ins that I did for you. And then the second piece is the exact same cut. She's gonna put it right over it. We're gonna give this a little tap together. Now we have 2 eyes, and I'm just gonna make sure I know. It's a little bit harder to see through 2 layers, right? So before I iron his face, I'm gonna do a little bit of peeking again, just like we did with the bandana. Boop. And boop. Oh my gosh, he's adorable. And then our little nose. And the nose, the triangle points down. Look how cute he is, you guys. Oh my gosh, he's so friendly. And then number 28 and 29, let's see which side is which. 29 is over here, 28 is over here, and 29. So before I'm ironing any of his face, I'm kind of putting everything in position to make sure I like it. And boop, we press. And then we know we're gonna have a line for his little mouth, so I'm gonna wing it. I'm gonna give myself a little dot down here to connect to. And so we're gonna do, There we go. And I'm kind of winging off the pattern a little bit, but that's okay. And then you have your straight little lines for his mouth. There we go. And that one little pink dot I don't like that I put there, I'll rub it out with a little bit of water in a minute. So I've gone on and marked his little face. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. So now we are going to start with the straw. So we have piece number 30. And this time it really is straw, you guys. Number 30, we're gonna iron this guy in place, and then we're gonna pull up and peek again. So number 31 starts about here, alrighty. So it's gonna go down this whole flat side. Let's take a little peek. Yep, that's the spot. Number 30. Oh, I'm sorry, that was 31. 30, 31. Now 32 is gonna line up. See this little top, that little niche? It's gonna go right in to the little top niche right here. There we go. Give that a press. Oop, I wiggled. There you go. This is a very forgiving thing, the straw and everything. So if you're not perfect, don't panic or anything, okay? Now 33 is down here. It's one where you can see the side coming out. And then we're gonna go back to number 34. So that's 33. Now 34 goes back up a little bit, right here at this little nook. Where am I? There we go. So it's overlapping right here. Now, a couple of easy pieces for you. We have the big top of our hat, and we're gonna come back, don't worry, it's all gonna connect by the hat, so don't think we're like abandoning these pieces down here. So we have 35, 36, and I'm gonna make sure those overlap. They don't overlap a ton, but they do, so give it a press. And then the brim of the hat. Boop. Oh my gosh, how cute is he, you guys? What is his? Did we name him or did we just call him Scarecrow? I want to call him Sal. I don't know why. Makes me think of, wasn't the, was Sophia, the older lady on Golden Girls? Wasn't her husband who had passed away, wasn't his name Sal? I don't know why that's what's coming into my head, but who knows? You can name your Scarecrow anything, but I'm thinking Sal. So remember, I gave myself the arrow up. So I'm just gonna do a peek and make sure I know where this is gonna go, roughly with my arrow up. And there we go. And so again, on this, it doesn't have to be like specifically in place on where it is on the placement guide. If you like the flower there, put it there, right? I'm gonna go down just a smidge. There we go, flower. And now we have one more piece on this unit, and that is number 40. And so it goes on top of the hat, and you can see it's gonna cover all of these other two little pieces, and it's gonna go onto the hat, because this is like a piece that's flipping up over his hair. Maybe he lives in the South like we do, and he's got humidity in his hair. So our hair, goodness me. It's hard to live in Florida and have flat hair. Doesn't happen. Oh look, I didn't get my flower ironed on just enough, so let's give it another little press. And when you're picking up your units, if you see you don't have everything ironed on just perfect, give it another little zap. You're fine. There we go. We have a head. Okay, we have one more unit. And it's so easy. It's this little piece down here. So 41. And then 42. And then number 43, and I gave myself an arrow so I know approximately which direction to go up. Just like that. Perfect. And we're gonna give this guy a press in the center. And so this is our last unit. So now what we're gonna do is put it all on our background fabric. Ooh, that was hot. There we go. Okay, so we don't need our fusing mat anymore. We're gonna set this aside. And what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna put this at the base right here. And I'm gonna put my fabric where it lines up on the bottom. So when you are doing this, you know, you're gonna trim off on all 4 sides. However, because so much of this goes across the bottom of it, I'm gonna put my base of my fabric right along the bottom so I don't have to think again. I like that. I don't want it to think harder than I need to. And just make sure you have it going past both ends. So I know all you're gonna see is a whole bunch of fabric, but let me show you what I'm doing. I'm lining it up along the bottom so I don't have to do a trim cut here. Okay? You can give yourself some to trim, but I don't need to. So just like this. So what I'm gonna do, we have pieces 1, 2, and 3, units 1, 2, and 3 to put on. I am gonna start with some peeking underneath here. That this is where my left arm is gonna go. Can you see? Let me make sure. Let me come up. There you go. Sorry, I wanna make sure you can see. I'm lined up. The bottom 31-inch piece of my fabric is lined up all the way along the bottom line. So I'm not gonna have to trim on the bottom. So now, before I iron, I'm gonna peek at getting these in place. So before I iron these 3 pieces on, I'm gonna make sure, and when I say 3 pieces, I mean unit 1, 2, and then 3 in the center. I'm gonna make sure that they're in place. And then we have this one. And I can see through, so hopefully you can see through on yours. I need to come down just a little. So see, I'm overlapping on the left and right on top of my arm, so I know I'm in place. So I'm gonna iron at the junctions and over some. I'm gonna do the main ironing in a second. I'm gonna take out my light pad. I'm gonna put this on my Steady Betty, which you see below here, and give it a good press. So right now I'm just kind of getting it in place. So next up, oh my gosh, you guys, we're almost done. Really, building the units makes your life so much easier. So I can see my hat. Perfect. And look, I'm coming apart right here. Whoop. There we go. Okay, so we are gonna press. There we go. And I don't pull the iron across the applique pieces. You don't want to accidentally move something. I do just ever so lightly lift it up. And again, I'm going to give this a final press on the Steady Betty in just a second. So now we have our very final piece to put in place. And that is our little bandana. Oh my goodness, you guys, he's so cute. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Adorable. So now, like I said, I'm gonna turn my light pad off. I'm gonna pull that and my glass mat out. Let me set this down. And I don't need my placement guide anymore, so I'm gonna pull this out and I'm gonna give a really good press. So pull this big old guy out. And so I'm just gonna kind of start at one side. Remember, because I didn't even really press down here. And I'm gonna adhere it to my background fabric. And on this guy, I would say, you know, I like to use a small iron for applique because it's just typically you're working with smaller pieces and it's so much easier. However, this guy's pretty big, so you might want to just go to your real ironing board with your real iron and give this guy a really good press before you sew. And remember, we marked our accent lines as we went. So we have the X's on the buttons that we're going to sew the black thread on. I want to make sure I go up the center of him. And that just helps you remember when you're sewing where to put your accent lines. And like on the mouth, you can go over those straight lines multiple times. Just like how you go around each piece twice, it really gives you that good look. You can do that same thing on the accent lines. Let me pull him just a little more. There we go. All right, so he is good and ironed on. So I'm gonna bring the real one out and let's talk about some of the stitch tips. Dun, 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 dun. The magic of video. Here he is done. Oh my God, he's just really cute when he's stitched, isn't he? Okay, so a reminder, you are going to do all of the straight line black applique stitching on all of your pieces. You're gonna put a 50 weight thread in your bobbin and the matching black 30 weight thread in your needle. And then for the quilting, see, we did like little straight squiggle lines. You are gonna do the same thing. You're gonna put the 50 weight ecru thread in your bobbin. The 30 weight ecru thread is gonna go in your needle. It's just a heavier, durable thread, and it gives more of a look. Just like we do on the cotton fabric, we use the 30 weight on top. There, it's more for like the look of it, the accent line, it brings it more to life. Here, you also, because you're walking on this, that 30 weight also adds stability for you instead of using 50 weight on the top and bottom. Okay, so that's how you're going to do that. Let's see if there's anything tricky on here. Nope. You're just gonna go about 1/8 of an inch in on everything. And again, remember, you don't wanna be like perfectly over the line each time. You kind of squiggle it. See, to me, the pieces like this one is totally traced on each other. I like it better when it's a little squigglier. So it's a personal choice, but I also find that having the squiggly look is much more forgiving when I'm sitting at my sewing machine and doing this. So really fun. Don't forget to go around the edge of his face. And then with his mouth, I love how Julie did this. Look, instead of just tracing that line several times, she did this kind of squiggly line here as well. Again, very forgiving. And then the additional accent lines that you have, let me just scooch my whole thing up. You have the X's on your buttons right here on the overalls, and of course on the arms as well. And it's just adorable. So once you have this completely stitched with the black thread, the applique portion is stitched. Remember, you're gonna make a sandwich. You're gonna have your batting in the center, your background fabric on the back. Use your basting spray to connect those pieces together. Super easy, you barely need any of it. I love this stuff, by the way. And then you're gonna be ready to quilt it, and that's when you're gonna use the ecru thread. And then for your binding, we use a 3-inch binding because it makes it so much easier. You don't want to hand finish your binding because sewing through the canvas with a needle and thread by hand like you would on a really nice quilt, it's just too hard and it's not worth it. This is for your floor. So we do a 3-inch so that it nicely pulls around. You have plenty to pull around so that once you have your binding connected, folded under and around, it's very easy to do a straight stitch right here, stitch in the ditch, and catch your binding on the back, and of course miter your corners like you would on a quilt, and then you're good to go. Don't forget, I can't not say this, use a rug pad because this is fabric, and if you're using it on tile or wood or something like that, you definitely want to use a rug pad. This is just a little cheapy one I got from Amazon. The sticker is over there, but I don't even know what brand it is. Just Google and get on Amazon. This was under 10 bucks for a rug pad. It's 2x3, and so you can just use scissors to trim it down to the right size. And I have one of these at home, and I just use the same one where I change out my rug every month. So I hope that you found this tutorial very helpful. I hope you had so much fun making your Scarecrow. And next month after this, we are making his friend Santa Claus. So if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out. And as always, happy stitching.